Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Aimstone channel. And yes, let's go ahead and start this video with Bitcoin market. Unfortunately, Bitcoin right now is not doing so well. As of the time of this recording, Bitcoin is just slightly above $105,000. Yes, yesterday it was about $111,000. But it seems like Bitcoin is pulling back and it is quite unfortunate. Is there going to be a lot more downside from here? Well, let's see. But from technical standpoint, it seems like Bitcoin is now forming in this short term, like down sloping support, I guess, if you will, which is doesn't look that good. However, from the longer time frame, we still have this long-lasting support, not only one but two, and it seems like Bitcoin is ready to break this support, which is exactly not what we want to see. If Bitcoin breaks this support, then Bitcoin could easily just break below $100,000 and even could go lower from there. And yes, guys, that's not what we want to see. We not want to see the beginning of bear market. Keep in mind, guys, all-time high was $126,000 and it was almost 1 month ago. And bear market usually they are quite short. I mean, not short, like 1 year, like 12 months or so. So if we are going into the bear market, 1 month already passed, so we will have to wait additional, I guess, 11 more months in this bear market. But yes, bear market usually painful because people cannot withstand the volatility, and obviously people do not want to see their like net worth or their Bitcoin holding drops by like 70%. But I do not think, even if we are going to some bear market, we're not going to see 70% drop, because we did not see that parabolic rise just like in the previous bull market. But anyway, moving back to the same chart, here we have 200 days simple moving average, and unfortunately Bitcoin officially broke below 200 days MA. Yes, 200 days MA worked more or less as a support. Yes, we've seen when Bitcoin break below 200 days MA in like Q2 2025, and yes, back then it was quite harsh. This is when Bitcoin dropped from the previous all-time high, like 109k, all the way to $75,000 or so. Yes, that was a big drop. So are we going to see something similar this time around? Look, if this is the bear market, then I will take it. That was probably like 30-35% drop. So are we going to see another 30-35% drop? Is a possibility. But what I do not want to see is 70% drop. Alright guys, let's move on to one weekly Bitcoin chart, because here we do not have a great news either. Yes, we have this long-lasting Bitcoin increase since late 2022 all the way to, I guess, until last month, the month of October. So that is going to be almost 3 years of constant increase, obviously with some pullbacks, 25-30% pullbacks, which is expected in the Bitcoin volatility. However, guys, from technical standpoint, we have this also long-lasting support, and it seems like Bitcoin is breaking below this support, which is not a great thing if you like technical analysis. However, I think we saw something similar, for example, in the summer of 2023. It seems like Bitcoin price action just so slightly broke below that support, but it recovered quite quickly, and now we're seeing something similar. But we do not know if this is the beginning of something bigger, or if Bitcoin just going to recover with the V shape and go all the way up and possibly even reach new all-time high. I guess we will find out shortly. The time will show everything. Now guys, at the same chart we have 50 weeks moving average. Yes, 50 weeks moving average works more or less as a support. So we had three dots. Technically they are supported historically, even though in summer 2023 Bitcoin price action did not quite reach that support, but it did reach in well, like Q3 2024 and like Q1, Q2 2025. And now, luckily, Bitcoin price action still remains above 50 weeks moving average. So, yes, guys, I guess that's one of the few positive things that we are seeing from these technicals. But if you like draw straight lines, that it doesn't look that great. Alright, guys, moving on to gold. Gold is doing decently. Gold is currently about $4,000 per ounce. Yes, it dropped from all-time high $4,400 all the way to like $3,900. It bounced back a little bit. Now the question is if there is a more downside in this gold market, or are we going to go not we is gold going to go maybe a little bit sideways, just like it did in the beginning of this year when it reached previous all-time high. It kind of went sideways for a few months. So let's see, guys, let's see. And now let's move on to S&P 500. So the past 5 days in S&P 500 have been red, have been negative, and it seems like today is going to be a negative day as well. Yes, market is not doing so well, and the main reason why, because there is a lot of concern about the unemployment market. Unemployment seems to rise a little bit, and job opening seems to crash. So there is a bit concern about even potential recession. If you guys haven't seen my previous video, I would highly recommend watching it. Back in that video, I was mainly talking about economy and the fundamentals, not necessarily about Bitcoin and stuff. But anyway, moving on to the next post. In 2010, this website would give you 5 Bitcoin per visitor for free. Imagine getting 5 Bitcoin for free. Damn, I would be visiting this website every, I don't know, every minute or so. But yes, guys, 2010, I wish I knew about Bitcoin back then. Oh well, if you guys have been in Bitcoin since 2010, congratulations, because you are probably a multi-millionaire or even a billionaire. Moving on to MicroStrategy has acquired 397 Bitcoin for $45 million at almost $115,000 per Bitcoin, and has achieved blah blah blah. So now they hold 641,000 Bitcoin acquired for $47 billion, and average price $74,000 per Bitcoin. So Saylor continues stacking sats like he always does. Yes, he has almost $70 billion worth of Bitcoin. That being said, the average price is $75,000. So Bitcoin could easily drop to that price. Yes, if Bitcoin breaks like $100,000, then it could potentially drop to 70K. I'm not gonna lie. If Bitcoin goes from like 126 to 70K, that's going to be, I'm not too sure, maybe 45% drop. Is that going to be at the bottom of the bear market? If you look at the historic playbook, yes, I do not think we're going to see 70% drop, but 40, even 50% drop is definitely a possibility. And Saylor is kind of leverage buying Bitcoin. Yeah, he's selling his convertible bonds. He raises money to buy more Bitcoin. I'm not too sure what his liquidation price is, but I'm pretty sure it's quite low. I'm not too sure, maybe $30,000. I don't know. If you guys know, comment below. Quick update about Bitcoin spot ETF inflow outflows. Last week has not been a great week, especially the past 3 trading days. BlackRock has been selling, Fidelity, Bitwise, ARK. The major 4 Bitcoin spot ETF issuers have been selling, and yes, let's see. Probably this week will continue to be in red, because wow, what a day to start the week with minus $5,000 in Bitcoin price. Now let's take a look at the Bitcoin monthly returns. Yes, October already finished. Bitcoin finished October in red minus 3.7%, and start November in red as well already. Yes, this November 3rd, so it's going to be the 3rd day of November. However, guys, November is usually the most explosive month for Bitcoin historically, especially in the bull market, because as we can see, the average rate of returns in November is 42%, which is the highest month by far. So, are we going to see some gains in November? I hope so. If you're going to see that, I guess once again the time will show. Well, here's actually probably the most positive chart that we see in this video, I guess. Here we have Bitcoin price action on the top. On the bottom, we have global liquidity and we have some sort of moving average. Not so sure what, maybe 50 days, 50 weeks MA, not so sure. But as we can see, whenever global liquidity crosses above moving average, it represents a bull market. And it seems like not so long ago, actually a few months ago, global liquidity crossed above this moving average. And if it will continue to diverge from moving average, obviously it's going to be a positive sign. And lastly, let's take a look at this quick video. Plan B has the new update about Bitcoin and stock to flow model. Let's take a look.
Bitcoin closed October at $109,000, and that's the 6th month in a row that it's above 100K. So we really see this 100K that used to be resistance turn into support. A really bullish sign. Now, from high to low, this is the stock to flow at 500K. This is Bitcoin at 109K. And this is the realized price at 56, moving average at 55K. So what's next? In fact, there's a lot of people that are very bearish, and the thinking is like this. Okay, this was the halving, and we're now 1.5 years after the halving. And historically, on a year to 1.5 years after the halving, here's another halving, 1.5 years after that halving, that was historically the top, also in 2013. So 1 year, 1.5 years, there's the top. We're now at 1.5 years. So we've seen the top. $126,000 was the peak, and next year, 2026, will be a bear year. In a bear year, Bitcoin will crash to approximately the moving average realized price levels of 50K. That's the bear view. The bulls are looking at it like this. They see no FOMO, no realized price or no RSI of 80 plus, the red. They didn't see that. And so they think the real bull has yet to start. And, well, if history is any measure, then we could see at least a 2x from here. Now, my view is, as you know, more bullish than bearish, but I'll break it up into pieces. So, again, stock to flow is the fundamental value. Moving average and realized price, those two lines, are the technical view, the floor, and the color RSI, the color overlay is the sentiment, the market sentiment. So let's see them one by one. Stock to flow. It's based on scarcity. It goes something like, well, Bitcoin is scarcer than gold at the moment, if you measure it by the stock to flow ratio. So the MCAP, the value of the total market of Bitcoin, should be higher than the MCAP of gold. That's if you really dump it down, the stock to flow argument. And it's very rough, so it's best to use a range, which is, by the way, true for every prediction, because there is, of course, uncertainty, and the uncertainty with a stock to flow model is very high. So the average range, the average should be in the range 250,000 to 1 million, and then it would be in line with historical path and trajectory of Bitcoin. Now, on average, says nothing about the tops. So how high the top will be, when the top will be. It also says nothing about the bottoms, how low they will be or when they will be. Stock to flow only says something about the average. So it's very fundamental view. It's the value. It's what it should be worth. Ceteris paribus. So with all the other factors that impact the price being equal, that's the target, if you will.
So plan B, I guess, remains with the same point. Yes, he said that majority of people think that we are going into the bear market. He still believes we are in the bull market, and I guess he kind of disregards the historic cycles. Well, bull market lasts between 12 to 18 months, followed by bear market that lasts usually 12 months. It seems like he kind of disregards these cycles, which is, I guess, fundamentals of his model. But yeah, he does has a point, because once again, just like I said in my previous videos, we did not had that parabolic rise, and therefore I do not think we're going to see a major crash just like we have seen in the previous bear markets. However, it's uncertain if we're going to go sideways, we're going to drop by 20%, or if Bitcoin will continue to steadily go up. I'm not so sure, but his targets are very far. Yes, $500,000 average price. That's very, very far. Here we have stock to flow. It zoomed in. The only good point that Plan B, I guess, made, that $100,000 used to be a resistance, now it's turned into the support, even though there is a quite likely scenario that Bitcoin could potentially break below $100,000 once again. But yeah, guys, even like $250,000, $500,000 right now seems quite far away. Alright guys, let me know what you think about Plan B. Comment below, subscribe, and like this video.